Good morning to you all. I will tell you a bit more today about KU Leuven Learning Lab, the way we at KU Leuven approach educational innovation, or will try to foster educational innovation. And I already want to warn my colleagues in the room, because I will show the network in person, so sometimes I will refer to you, and then it's nice if you present yourself to the people in the room. Maybe I will start with some words about KU Leuven, because we adopt a network approach, and that is quite necessary if you see the complexity of our university. We are a very large university. Vice Rector Peter Lievens already said 65,000 students, so this is still an infographic from some years ago. 21,000 people of staff. We are located, or we have 14 campuses across Flanders at 10 locations. So quite a complex structure to work in. Maybe also something about our formal structures. How are we formally organized, our organizational chart? So we are, as we are so large, we are a comprehensive university. We are organized in 3 science groups with 15 faculties. Here you see some numbers about the study programs we offer. And I'm located in the central part of the university, educational policy. And we have there an educational development unit. So here you also see each group is led by a vice rector. You have educational developers at group level. You have in the faculties a dean, a vice dean for education, also a team of educational developers within the faculties. And then on the course level, you have a program director responsible for the study program, and also sometimes, or most of the time, an educational developer supporting the study program. So just to give you some insights in how we are organized, and you feel already coming on the network approach, of course, because we try to connect all those different entities and parts of the organization. So where did KU Leuven Learning Lab started? KU Leuven Learning Lab, as we know it today, was established during the 2017-2021 policy period. And it was linked to the policy priorities, future-oriented education and going digital. Our university management at that time also linked to those policy priorities with regard to future-oriented education and going digital, made free some structural funds for faculties to hire extra educational developers in the faculties to do first-line support for teachers, because that was really something we saw as something that was missing up to then. If you really want to foster or the development of educational innovation, you really have to have support very close to teachers. So that is where the idea of KU Leuven Learning Lab was started, and it was, of course, supported by those structural extra funds for the faculties. So that was also our start of setting up, I would say, not really a formal network, but a semi-formal network. So we have some structures now to be able to work on educational innovation together. So we have a steering committee. There you see the vice rectors of education and educational technology, but also the director of our IT department. We have a coordination team of educational developers located at a central level, so I'm part of it, but also some colleagues from the IT department. We also have now educational developers. That was something new from 2017 onwards on that group level. So for the 3 science groups, we have educational technology project managers or educational developers. And then, of course, in our faculties, we also have educational developers. And what we did then was, per faculty, we now have a contact point, which helps us to pass through information, to ask questions, to exchange information, and so on. So you really have to see this as a kind of a semi-formal part of our large informal network. But it really helps to structure that informal exchange within our large university. And so what was also set up were advisory boards on a group level on educational innovation. So that is also something new from 2017 onwards, where you also have professors in it, vice deans for education. So you have the steering committee and the coordination team. There we already have a mix of people from faculty, group level, central level, and it allows us to focus. We try to monitor a bit what is happening within the university, and we try to link it to policy priorities. And what is also very interesting, I think, are our contact points in the faculties. So they really take up the role, and it was part of a negotiation process that took some time. They really take up the role of moderator, translator, bridge builder, networker, and we are constantly talking about that with them, what could be their role. It is also evolving a lot, and we see now a really vivid channel in Teams where we exchange a lot of things that are going on, solving problems and so on. And then the advisory boards at group level, so per sciences group, as I already told you, quite a diverse composition of a vice dean for education from one faculty, an educational developer from another, a professor, a teaching assistant, and so on. So they bring together needs and they encourage interfaculty projects. It's a place where they can share expertise and experiences, and where they also within the group see what is happening in the other faculties. It's also something that really binds the faculty of one group. So we really, as we are quite a large university, we have that intermediate level of the groups that really helps us also to foster that innovation a bit better. And then, of course, because sometimes at the central level we are far away of the action, it really helps to make links or to establish links. If I would define KU Leuven Learning Lab, I would say it is a learning action network. I think that is the strength of it. We try to combine the learning aspect, so it's a really open network. There are no memberships or so on. It's really about community building on the one hand, but also trying to set up projects on the other hand. So we are also action oriented too, and we try to combine those. And I'm just going to explain a bit more how we do that. So we have some network initiatives established. So what we see as our privileged partners are, of course, the educational developers in the faculties. And maybe Robbe and Simon can already show that they are here. Anne Astrid, is she also here? Okay, yes, they are from the Faculty of Medicine. So we organize quite some events, sessions, exchange sessions, just to bring them together, and we give them policy updates, or we do co-working and intervision together. We have learning groups, and we have once a year our community event, the Day of the Educational Developer. And we had this year, I think, 150 participants, so we are quite a large community within our university. And as I said, we also have a very good Teams channel working, so this keeps the interaction going between the physical meetings, and we there also find then new topics to develop or to talk about. Then the action parts. I want to explain you our support model. So this is more the structured part of the network. And we also set up quite often, if we work on specific projects, project teams that are really composed with different people across the university. Those who we need, those people that we need, for example, if we set up projects on online assessment, blended teaching, learning spaces, and so on. So these are temporary project teams with a clear focus and a mixed composition. About our support model, we have a 3-layer support model. So a bit central to our support level are manuals, documentation, tool guides, good practices. It's a central website, but it is used in faculties also. So it is primarily, from our point of view, targeted to the educational developers in the faculties, because what we really want to do is to support them in supporting didactical teams, program directors, teachers, professors, and so on. So for us, it's really important to make that documentation and those manuals and those guides in co-creation. This is, for example, something we made together with educational developers in the faculty. It's these are some, this is some guidance for program directors on a program level to integrate blended learning. Also something that was made during COVID times, we made a quick guide to blended course design. And really also some people in the room, some educational developers in faculties really developed or helped us to develop it in a way that it now is used by our professors. So I think we really try to combine insights there. We have also a KU Leuven Learning Lab Academy, where we have, of course, train-the-trainer sessions for educational developers in the faculties, and we have also training for teaching teams. This is a bit of an overview. So we have the tailored training sessions for teaching teams, but we never do that at a central level alone. So we don't enter a faculty without the educational developer of the faculty on our side to do that together. And that is why, that is, I think, the secret to success. In fact, we can combine their different perspectives and knowledge. We also have training for the educational developers, so that is really intense guidance. We try to pass through information as soon as we can, but we also hear back then questions, problems that are occurring while implementing projects. And we have also a series of online modules. Everything is open there on our KU Leuven Learning Lab website, so you can always have a look at it. So these are some of the topics we work on. Then the last part is that we also set up concrete support services, and I think we have, of course, our multimedia facilities, the Knowledge Clip studios, the lending service for multimedia equipment, editing and screencast facilities. But I'm also very proud of our student service in a way that we train students already now for several years. It started very small with 2 or 3 students that we trained in designing courses and making small video knowledge clips and so on. And there we also have our contacts then in the faculties that bring those students close to the didactic teams so that they can support them in really design blended teaching. Something about, so you have that 3-layer support model. For example, that student service is also funded by the university, but this is also something else, innovation projects, where we also have yearly calls, and there are structural innovation funds that we have. And a few years ago, when we started with KU Leuven Learning Lab, we tried to structure those projects a bit more than before. I think we realized we have a very long tradition in educational innovation projects, 20, 30 years. But what we saw quite often was that those innovation projects were not continued, they stopped, or there were questions when there was a successful innovation project to scale it up and to offer it to the wider community within KU Leuven. So that is why we now differentiate between seed projects where we really experiment and we have funding for that, but a different type of project, and we did several of them last couple of years, is the scale-up project. And I will give you some examples later on, but this is really a different type of project where we do not focus anymore on the technology, but on the upscaling of the technology. And we try to gather the different partners that are necessary to sustain the innovation. We gather them around the table. And then we, of course, have our large implementation project. So the seed projects, we have a call, innovative digital learning, and we already did that. We linked that to policy priorities. So, for example, with regard to evaluation, we had one on feedback and continuous assessment because we saw that as a gap within the university to use really technology more for assessment purposes. What we also have, we have an open entry system in Belgium. So we have quite some, we have to invest quite a lot in students entering our university. So what we also experienced with last year were learning paths, online learning paths that we developed that we could already offer to students that were not even enrolled yet on maths, on science, and so on. But one of the different, or where we have seed projects now is also in extended reality. So here you see some product applications of my colleagues from biomedical sciences, and I did not put the application on basic life support because Anne-Astrid will present that in the session after this. But these are some applications already made. You see there what to do when you enter a crime scene, a dental prosthesis simulator. And I think, Anne-Astrid, you won already twice a prize here at Media and Learning. So these are really nice applications. And I put there also an illustration of an organizational chart. This is also what I told you about the structural funds given in 2017 to the science group and the faculties. The biomedical sciences group chose to set up a biomedical technology lab where they have now their own VR developers, and you have also the skill center where Anne-Astrid is working, who really invest now in those extended reality applications. I think a really nice example too, because here you already see that it is expanding across science groups and faculties, is the application that is built in our School of Education, where you have future teachers observing classroom environments through virtual reality to really learn to observe the behavior of a class and to really react on it in an appropriate way. I told you already about the scale-up projects. These are projects where we really investigate how we can upscale some innovation. So this is, and I will not show the video because Anke says that the time is up, but this is, for example, a project where we develop two types of hybrid learning spaces, hybrid teaching spaces. And this was really about how can we, with limited budgets, how can we really spread out learning spaces to be able to do hybrid teaching really across the university, so across all the campuses. Another example are the learning analytics. So we had seed projects, 3 dashboards developed for study counselors at our study guidance counselors at our universities, but also for students themselves. So they were developed within European projects, and for the moment we have now university-wide dashboards for that study counselor to help students to analyze their study progress, and we have a learning dashboard specifically for students to monitor their study progress. And what is really nice is that these are made with quite easily accessible data, but it helped us to see what is possible with learning analytics. And we now have developed on a policy level a legal and ethical framework for the dashboards. So we are now investigating how we can set up dashboards really in the learning environment. So we will have some scale-up project about that next year. And then we have the large implementation projects. Of course, we are now migrating to Blackboard Ultra, but we also have bought quite some new educational software funded by the Belgian or by the Flemish government, ANS, probably known in the Netherlands very well, Feedback Fruits, and so on. So that is a very long process where we go phase by phase, and we set up separate networks for such large implementation projects. Maybe short, and then I will finish. Generative artificial intelligence is also, of course, very important right now. And what we do there is, what we recently did is there were quite some questions from students and professors and so on, is to develop some policy guidelines and also to give some support guidelines. So these are all screenshots of the KU Leuven Learning Lab website, targeted to teachers. We are really trying to foster a critical and creative integration of artificial intelligence. This is what we did, this screenshot, what we offered as information for students, how they can use it. But also what is in our education and examination regulations, of course, but also encourage them to be very transparent about the use and some tips and tricks. And this is, to finish, maybe a code of conduct developed by the people of the Master of Artificial Intelligence that we also use now throughout the university to support teachers, professors, to talk about the use of ChatGPT with their students. Okay, maybe one challenge next year, because I did not say anything about the online learning that we are created. Maybe the people of the MOOC team can present themselves. Elke, yeah, they are over there, okay. So what we want to do next year is really to launch a course creation lab. We are already doing MOOCs for quite a while, from 2015 onwards, but we really want to expand that to online learning, a bit driven by the lifelong learning policy priority. And we see there are also already a lot of projects popping up. So this is me in the network. You can always talk to me and I will point you out to the right person or the people that you saw in the room. And this is also a link to our website. Very welcome to have a look. And if you have any questions later, you can always contact me.